FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
Oh, man, what a day. What a day. It is Friday here in Tampa Bay, and we get a double stuffed Oreo today. We get the Rays opening day, and then we get against the Oreos, or the Orioles, whatever we want to call them. And then we get the Lightning tonight and the Boston Bruins. That is a double stuff right there of great Tampa Bay activity. Welcome into the JP Peterson Show, as we will preview all things Rays today on opening day and kind of take a look at the franchise, where they stand right now as far as success on and off the field. So Orestes Estrada will join us at 11 o'clock, the Big O, and we'll have a extended discussion on what's going on with our Tampa Bay Rays. We're mostly going to keep that on the field. I'm very excited about this team, as I know my co-host Nick Geddes from Outkick.com is, with its franchise high payroll of $78 million. You got to be excited about that, right? That shows the commitment. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm trying to, like I said today, I'm trying to be positive all day long. In fact, I forgot to go get I'm going to have to change into my Rays jersey here in just a little bit.
I was literally thinking as I was driving in today, I was like, it's opening day. I wonder what JP's going to be like today.
I'm positive. I'm all positive.
I was hoping you'd be
all positive.
today.
Yes. We're going to keep it mostly positive and on the field.
All right, so I guess we're not.
In fact, I'm even going to be so good today. This is how good I'm going to be. I'm going to be so good that when I take my shots, I'm going to phrase them in a positive way. I'm going to be the Norman Vincent Peale version of JP today. The Zig Ziglar of JP and the Rays today. I'm gonna even my cutting sarcasm will be framed in such a positive way that not even my biggest critics can say that I was dumping on them on opening day. But they'll say it anyway. It's all good. So we'll talk some Rays as well. There's some juicy stuff with the Buccaneers. Did you read the Mike Florio fantasy article about Brady going to the Dolphins?
I don't go looking to read the Mike Florio stuff. It just kind of pops in your lap, and you're like, let me just look at this real quick.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I'm trying to remember the whole thing. When we get to it, I'll have to go back, and because there was so many twists and turns and bullshit in there, I couldn't discern what was possible fact and what was complete fantasy. Because to me, it just seems like Florio is trying to justify his constant drumbeat that Brady's going to Miami. And so we'll get into that story in just a little bit. I thought it was very interesting. Also this morning, ESPN trying to stir shiz up again with Bruce Arians, who made a comment about Tom Brady getting too much credit for all of their success.
Did omit the part where he said that Tom Brady and I get too much credit?
Yes. Yeah.
Did they omit that part?
Well, the sell, of course, the tease was Bruce Arians says Tom Brady gets too much credit. And then when you actually see the context of the quote,
the classic Mike Greenberg voice.
Well, he wasn't doing it today.
No, not him today.
Yeah, but you can imagine. The full context of the quote was he was trying to give credit to Byron Leftwich, to say Leftwich is going to get a gig and he has a lot to say of what's going on. That was the context in which he was saying it. It's like, hey, Byron Leftwich needs to get a lot of credit here too, because I get too much credit and Brady gets way too much credit. And what about Byron? So he was saying it in terms of Byron Leftwich, which of course, if you actually used the quote in context, the headline would be Bruce Arians praises Byron Leftwich, predicts he will get a gig soon. But that doesn't sell. We got to create a little racial division. We got to get a little Tom Brady in there. That's what ESPN's selling. So we got to go, no. This is Tom Brady getting too much credit. It's just, it's typical ESPN. That's just what you get.
More so when you try to be a good person in this world.
Right.
Right. Apparently that gets spun too.
Well, and I think, this whole Brady Arians situation that's being recounted. And by the way, do we put that up on the website? We're going to put up on the website today. I wrote an article for a local magazine and sharing it on the website as well about the whole timeline of what happened between Brady's retirement, the free agency, getting Brady back, getting the players back, the transition to bowls. How did that all come about? Now, mine, I think, is much more rooted in fact than Mike Florio. So we're going to post that a little bit later on. It's all stuff that we've talked about. So if you're a fan of the show, there's not a whole lot new in there. It's just basically my whole theory of evolution, if you will, my Darwin-esque
taking us to school
theory of how this whole thing evolved into Todd Bowles becoming the coach. It's just more in a written timeline form. So I'll post that a little bit later on today. But yeah, this is, I think, Florio's answer to, his constant drumbeat of Brady going to Miami. Rob Ninkovich today on ESPN on Get Up said something very interesting. Said he was hanging out with Gronk a couple of weeks ago at his house. And he said that he feels like Gronk is going to come back and play. He's just not ready to commit to it right now. And he also said something interesting. He said he's going to want to get paid. Like, if he's going to come back, he's going to want to get paid something significant in order to come back. Now, that's not going to be a huge problem for the Bucs. They still have some contracts that they can restructure. Now, if he's looking for, Tyreek Hill money, not going to happen. But I think if he's looking for, what did he play for last year? $9 million, I think it was.
Yeah, around there.
$9 million, and I'm sure the Bucs could do some incentivizing there. But just thought it was interesting that he mentioned that he needs to get paid. So, okay. All right. I still don't think that's going to be much of an issue. We're going to get into the Rays here to start things off in just a second. But I'm going to just get to the Brady and the Dolphins thing. I did mention Orestes is coming on. Also, Corey Long is coming on at 11:30. So we're going to talk Bolts and spring football with him. And Scott Carter from Gators.com is going to join us as well. So we'll get the spring view of the Gators as well, their new coach. Napier, what's going on there at Florida, and what's happening this spring for them. So we got Scott Carter at 10:30, Orestes at 11, and Corey Long at 11:30. All right, so as I was reading this article last night on Pro Football Talk, Florio basically coming out, and I hope I'm getting this right because there was a lot of moving parts to it, but basically him saying that Brady was going to become a part owner of the Miami Dolphins. This was all cooked up by Stephen Ross, who is the leading donor at Michigan. Of course, Brady, a Michigan man. So they've developed a friendship over the years, the owner of the Miami Dolphins. And so evidently Stephen Ross was, and there's not a whole lot of mention of this, but evidently Stephen Ross has been tampering with Tom Brady since he's under a contract with another team, talking about him becoming a part owner of that team. And as the Florio fantasy goes, or what he was reporting is that he wanted Brady to meet, if I'm getting this right, he wanted Brady to meet with Brian Flores and himself on a yacht. Is that one of the parts you remember in reading the story?
If I'm correct, yeah.
Yeah. So his whole scheme was, we're going to get Brady down here since he's building his forever house down here. We're going to get Brady down here. Then we're going to go get Sean Payton. And we're going to get Sean Payton. We're going to get Brady. We're going to get Tyreek Hill, set the whole thing up. Well, a little arrogant there to think that, number one, you're going to have to trade for Brady. You just can't get him. I guess he must have thought that the Bucs were just going to roll over and say, yeah, sure, go ahead and take him. And you're going to have to trade for Sean Payton as well. And both of those are going to cost you dearly. So I don't even think that they would have a whole lot left to build upon if they were to make those choices. So Stephen Ross was either incredibly ignorant and stupid on how things work in the NFL, or incredibly arrogant to think he could pull something off like this, if this are to be true. And evidently, as Florio writes it, it was the lawsuit that Brian Flores filed against him that screwed the whole thing up. And that's what they say screwed the whole thing up once Flores filed lawsuit, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not even sure what that exactly has to do with it, except putting more scrutiny on Stephen Ross. And then everybody just bailing out. So if what he says is true, then Stephen Ross was tampering with Tom Brady. And, I don't know how Bucs fans feel about this. Or do they believe it? Do they not believe it? And what does it say about the loyalty of Tom Brady? And I'm not necessarily saying to the Bucs, because I'm not here to say and to think that Tom Brady has some, unbreakable loyalty to the Buccaneers. I don't think that's the case. I think Tom Brady is very much a very pragmatic person and does what's best for Tom Brady, and that just happens to be what's best for his team most of the time. So, if you're a Buccaneers fan, do you even care? As long as Brady is playing here, what does it matter what the dalliances were in the offseason? I don't really care, to be honest with you. It's a minor thing to me. But I do see a lot of fans on Twitter that are reacting to that and, kind of saying, Brady's lack of loyalty, if this report is to believe, is not a big deal with them. To some, it is. Your thoughts?
I just don't believe anything that's in these reports. I just don't. I know that there's a lot of smoke maybe around this stuff, and there's the old saying where there's smoke, there's fire. But where are these reports coming from? Mike Florio? Yeah. Like, that's it. Yeah. That's the only one that's reporting this. And I think everybody's kind of caught on by now. There's some kind of agenda here. Brady must pissed in his cereal or something away. He do what he wanted them to do. They want to manifest Tom Brady to the almighty market of Miami. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but this seems like a Mike Florio agenda against Tom Brady to keep publishing these stories. And there's holes in these stories too. I mean, I understand that maybe you say never in the world of sports, but Tom Brady becoming a minority owner of the Dolphins and then playing quarterback for said team at the same time. Mm-hmm. Do you understand how ridiculous that sounds? I know Stephen Ross maybe is capable of doing things that we couldn't imagine because he's very arrogant, and we've already talked about our owners here on this show enough about how they are. I'm sorry. That is so beyond the pale, in my opinion, of possibility. I just can't get there. I can't get there. And frankly, all this stuff, I think the real Bucs fans see through it and are welcoming Tom Brady back with open arms. At least I am. Yeah, of course. No matter what any of these stories say.
Doesn't matter. Whatever. First of all, we don't know if any of that's true. Second of all, it really doesn't matter. I mean, players seeking out situations that are best for them, does that shock me? No. I mean, if I were a Buccaneer player, and I might be curious with Tom and say, were you going to abandon us like that? But I think other NFL players understand that it's, in the end of it, it's about your business. It's not about, when it comes to who you play for and how much money you play for. Now, if Tom was out there telling all these guys, hey, I'm coming back, and he was doing all this stuff behind their back, which I don't think is the case, by the way, because, Tom retired quite quickly after the season. So the message that he was sending out to the players is I'm not coming back. So I don't think there was any I don't think he was trying to mislead any of his teammates. I mean, he was pretty open about that and open to the world about it. So again, this is Mike Florio trying to, I think, more than anything, legitimize his constant drumbeat of Brady to Miami. It may or may not be true, but as a Bucs fan, I really don't think it matters at this point because he's back with the Bucs. The band is back together, and we move forward. And as far as the Brady or the Arians quotes about Tom Brady getting too much credit, again, this seems to be more of ESPN trying to stir the pot where there really is no significant rift between these folks, and the fact that Arians has now moved upstairs and Todd Bowles is coming in. If you read the Rick Stroud article today, he talks about how Brady will probably be much more comfortable with Todd Bowles running the ship than maybe Bruce Arians because Bowles runs maybe a tighter. I don't know exactly. Brady knows that because he hasn't played under Bowles as a head coach, but I guess that's kind of the perception. All I know is this, that when they were together, Arians and Brady, they won 29 games, they won a Super Bowl, and were damn close to winning a second one back to back. So whatever was going on, however, quote, Bruce was running the ship, I don't think anybody has to have a real problem with any of that going on as far as I'm concerned. It was pretty damn successful. And it also seems like if you're a Buccaneers fan, we've never had this much attention, certainly not national attention, right? Except going back into the 2002 Super Bowl days. I think there was obviously a lot more national attention. But, when you're winning a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, it's a whole different level of attention. And people are always going to be nitpicking. People are always going to be trying to find holes. People are always going to be trying to stir up shit. It's just the way it is when Tom Brady is around. And I think this is just part of the game. And if you're the Bucks, if you're or the organization, the Buccaneers, if you're a Buccaneers fan, you just got to wipe out the noise, almost chuckle about it, because there's a reason they're doing it. They're jealous. They hate us because they hate us. And that's and that's the truth. That's the absolute God's truth. And it comes with it. So with success comes a lot of jealousy, and that's just part of it. And I know Brady understands it. And as Buccaneer fans, we have to understand that as well. All right, let's transition over to the Rays for opening day. And it's a sellout. 25. They're not opening the upper deck as far as I know. So 25,000. It's an official sellout. They did not obviously do any lower prices or anything like that. So these are, this is a good gate for opening day. I think it shows that the fans are certainly into it. No doubt about it. We'll see it what the crowds are like the rest of the weekend for the Orioles. Probably not won't be the highest attendance. I would like to see that. I mean, it is opening weekend. I may go on Sunday, depending on what Tigers' situation is. 1:00 game there. But I don't expect huge crowds over the weekend, despite what a lot of people might hope, and that's okay. Now, I did want to touch a little bit on the article that there's two articles in the Times today, one from Topkin and one from John Romano. And the one thing, I'm trying to find the exact one. Okay, this one. The headline is franchise high payroll aims to get Rays over that hump. Interesting to note that 6 teams have been to the postseason 7 times since 2008. 6 teams. The Rays are one of them. They're also the only one of those teams that has not won a World Series, which begs the question, and this is what I've always said about the Rays, and it's kind of what Romano wrote about today, is they have found a way miraculously to win 100 games and to win in the regular season. But just like hockey, sometimes the postseason is not like the regular season. And this is one of the things I hate about baseball. Their postseason schedule allows for an off day every other day for the most part. So you don't need, 5 starting pitchers like you need in the regular season. So it kind of changes the formula. So what that tells you is you have to go out and get those dominant pitchers, which is why these guys make so much money, the dominant pitchers in the league, and get them to come in and close the door and be that guy that you can trot out to the mound 2 or 3 times during a series, a 7-game series, and he's going to shut down the opponent. We've seen that multiple times in the World Series. That's kind of how it gets done in the postseason. And the Rays have never been willing to go out and find those guys. Now they certainly got one in Charlie Morton, and I'll coming back because I think it's the most stark example of what spending more money looks like and getting yourself over the hump. And when they went to the World Series in 2020, instead of building on that team, right, they subtracted by not picking up Morton's option and then going and spending $11.5 million on 3 other older players that just didn't pan out. They didn't, they said that they had to trade Blake Snell before he got to the free agency. And I think keeping both of those guys in your rotation would clearly have been better than not. And that's how I look at add-on. Now, had they done that, they would have finally had a payroll that probably approached $100 million. And as they write in this particular, as Topkin writes, the Rays ended up 15 pitchers, 13 position players, 6 on the injured list, and a $78.245 million total payroll, the largest in franchise history. The opening day payroll based on player salaries and not counting prorated signing bonuses, incentives, or buyouts is an increase of more than $11 million from last season and slightly more than they started with in 2014 and 2018. Part of the increase is attributed to the league-wide hike in the minimum salary from $570,000 to $700,000, which was forced upon them and is true. Plus, having rosters expanded from 26 to 28 for the first month. But more so, General Manager Peter Bendick said it's a sign of the Rays' efforts under principal owner Stuart Sternberg to build a team capable of winning the World Series after making the playoffs 3 straight years. Quote, honestly, anybody starts it with honestly, it's a sign of Stu's commitment to getting over that hump. Bendix said. It's because we have a lot of talent. We have as much talent now as I think we've ever had since I've been here. When we have the team that's on the cusp, he wants to win as much as anybody, and he authorizes, go trade for Nelson Cruz, which they did last July, and that added a little bit of payroll, not significant. These things might not have been done if we were an 85-win team. It's that once you're close, so you really want to get over that hump and balancing that with the future. A lot of teams take that feeling and just pour everything into right now and then regret it in 2 years. If we could balance that, that's what we're trying to do. And I get that. But to act like, and in this article, really zero context. I mean, yes, it's a league. It may be a franchise high payroll of $78 million. The league average is $144 million. You're almost at half of the league average. Half of the league average. And since 2019, you're 28th, I believe, in payroll. And you add up the last few years. And yes, successful, no question about it. But also not certainly spending money to get over the hump. Adding a $4 million player or even a Corey Kluber, an $8 million player, which is great. We need to do more of that, is not necessarily, quote, going for it, in my mind. Signing Freddie Freeman would have been going for it. Signing a player in the 15 to 20 to 30, $25 million range, that to me would be going for it. And when you're looking at where the Rays payroll is with so many talented players, and people keep pointing towards Wander Franco. Well, look all the money they spent on Wander Franco. They haven't spent shit on him yet. It's $1 million, and it escalates over the next few years. And let's see, and I will bet my last dollar that the Rays are not going to pay out that entire contract. No way. If Stu remains the owner, which I doubt. But let's not get it confused. The Rays, that contract for Wander Franco is not paying him 20. And I think a lot of fans think this. I really do. I think a lot of friends, if you did a poll on what people think Wander Franco is making this year, I think most people would say 15, 20 million. No, he's making $1 million. That's it. And it escalates slowly from there. So don't get it twisted. This is not something, but you read this article, you think that, oh my God, Stuart Stewart's pouring all this money in. No, he's not. And let's not forget, folks, that he's got $500 million in cash sitting in this new company that he created to take that money away from his partners, which is why he's being sued by his partners, allegedly. That's what he did. But this is all documented in the lawsuit, and you can see the numbers. They're all there. You can see and I don't think Stu Sternberg is necessarily, because he hasn't been asked the question. He's been asked where he buys his seafood and what he's listening to, but he hasn't been asked, do you have $500 million in a bank account that you moved out of the Rays accounts? Then hadn't been asked that question, but we do know that he likes to buy his seafood. I forget what the name of the place and where he likes to go eat. So that's good. We know that, but we don't know if he has the 500 million. That might be a question I might have asked. So let's not get it twisted. I'm glad that the Rays are spending more money, but to act like this is a sign of Stu Sternberg going all in and that he will go over the top to get to where they need to go. No. And look, I'm all for let's go and let's have a great season. This is a talented team. I love what they've done top to bottom. I'm excited about their pitching staff. We're going to talk to the rest of the Strata about this and where some of these young kids could go. But there are a lot of question marks, and they're playing in a division that's absolutely loaded. And Corey Kluber has had some injury deals. Let's just be honest about that. If they get a rash of injuries in their pitching staff, like they did last year, will they be able to survive in this with this loaded AL East? Will Josh Lowe be able to come up and replace at least some of the production of Austin Meadows? Who else is going to replace those 106 RBIs? That's a lot. That's a lot. Now you could say, well, how about Brandon Lowe? Wow. Well, he's already, he was there last year. So, he's going to have to produce even more than he did last year. Are we thinking that's going to happen? Doubtful. Randy Arozarena, he's going to pick up more of a run production situation? I would think so. Let's see it happen. Wander Franco, is he going to pick up some of those since he's playing in a full season? Absolutely. So, yeah, there's ways to get there. Manuel Margot. I mean, we're going to, even though he is a below average hitter and now has been signed to a somewhat lucrative deal, which I guess will be the 5th highest salary when he gets to $10 million in a couple of years. Will he be able to suddenly become a much better hitter? We don't know this. We don't know this. So there are a lot of questions about this team. Is there talent? 100%. There's lots of talent. I'm excited to see him play. The way they're going to play, they got the best manager in the game. I'm excited to see what these guys can do. A lot of them, especially some of the younger players, Rasmussen, Patino, some of these young pitchers, if they take the next step and can they become dominant pitchers under Kyle Snyder? It's Shane McClanahan is certainly got all the tools to be a dominant pitcher, and I expect him to go out there today and dominate the Orioles. A team that is, I think I got like a $32 million payroll, which is just ridiculous, by the way. What the A's are doing, the Orioles and the Pirates is shameful. And if Rod Manfred had any onions whatsoever, he would not let it go on. But at least the Rays have a credible payroll. They have a credible payroll, and they have a very talented team. And I'm glad they've done the moves that they have. Could they have done more? Absolutely. They could have done a lot more, but they didn't. And here we go. And I'm fine with it. And let's roll with this team, and let's see where it goes from here. And we can discuss. And this is part of baseball. We'll go back and say, we'll see what happens with Craig Kimbrell. Is he all washed up, or will he be a guy that the Dodgers are really going to be counting on? We'll see. And then we'll look back and look at some of these deals and say, we could have got more, we could have got less, whatever. And we'll be able to make our assessments of how they did. That's baseball. That's part of it.
But I'm excited for today. I'm very excited today, regardless. And regardless of what's going on this offseason, you still got a team, and you may have touched on it while I was off there for a second. You may have touched on it, but it's a team that I think is probably going to win, 90 to 100 games again? You would probably bet?
Look, I think this team could win. I think it can win 95 games. I think that's the ceiling for this team. And most of this is because of the division and the schedule they're going to play. I think they could win 95 games. I think they could be below 500.
About below 500?
Yeah. It's a tough division, in case you didn't notice.
I know that. It's almost identically the same team to last year that won 100 games. That's a 20-game drop-off? I can't see that. I know it's a better division, but I still think the Rays are a better team than New York. I still think you can make the argument they're better. They're certainly better in the pitching department than Boston is. And Boston took all of our rejects, Rich Hill, Michael Wacha, from us. So
it's such a year-to-year league.
It's a year-to-year league.
I mean, we say that about a lot, but I mean, who saw Boston doing what they were going to do last year, right?
Not many.
Not before the season. No, we were all like, Boston sucks. And then look what happened. Look what they did. And some of these young players just mature better, and some don't. I mean, we're all penciling in Wander Franco for 35, 110, right? That if he were to do that, do you know what kind of company he would be in terms of second-year players to be able to put up numbers like that? Like elite Hall of Fame company. And look, can he do it? Yeah, absolutely. But doing it and staying away from injuries, sophomore slumps. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in baseball. You don't, it's real easy while you're having success, but everybody goes through slumps. And how will Wander? How will he react? How will he adjust to certain things that are being done to him in terms of shifts? And you could say, well, they probably tried all that last year. I don't know. He only played half a season. So and they've had the whole entire offseason to look at tape and look at his swing and kind of figure out how to get him out. That's what pitching coaches in the ALA have been doing all offseason. So I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. I'm trying to be realistic that baseball is it's a funny game. And there have been many, many years where the Rays approach did not work. I mean, look at the first 3 years of Cash's tenure here. It was not pretty. So, could the Rays go back to that this year? I don't think they can fall that far, but injuries and guys just don't pan out. Yeah, absolutely. They don't have guys that with track records of, 5, 6, 7 years of producing 90 RBIs plus. They don't. Other teams do. And those are guys that have been consistent. We haven't seen that with. So, but they've been able to be very successful. By the way, is Harold Ramirez starting at first today? Did I read that correctly?
You read that already?
I think I saw a line. Well, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk to Scott Carter. I think I don't know if that was an official lineup or a projected lineup. But then
we don't have lineups yet.
And I went and looked, and I saw, Harold Ramirez plays first base.
Versatility.
He played there one time in his career.
Versatility.
Okay. He hasn't shown a lot of versatility.
Somebody's got to play. Somebody's got to play first today. You think G-Man's probably not going to be in the lineup?
Just throw somebody over there.
Somebody's got to play.
Just throw him over there. Doesn't matter if they've ever played there before. He's a right-handed hitter. All you got to do is run to the base and catch it, right? It's pretty simple. All right, we'll take a break. Scott Carter coming up next. We'll talk a little spring football of the Gators. What's going on in Gainesville? Stay with us. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. March Madness has come to the Gold and Diamond Source. Did you know the Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month, and the Emily collection has some great unique pieces. It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Juliet collection is Julie and Steve Weintraub's exclusive, one-of-a-kind, award-winning collection of the world's finest diamonds and rare fine gemstone jewelry. Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade at any time and get 100% of its value towards a new purchase. Do you have any old jewelry, broken jewelry, just lying around? Well, bring it in and get top dollar and get even more value if you use that money to buy something new or just take the cash. Shop local with the folks who support our community in so many charitable endeavors. It's the Golden Diamond Source, just a short 15-minute ride from Tampa, just over the bridge on Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage to Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him he said you could call 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on Fan Stream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. If you have any issues with construction defects, go to PalermoPA.com, get all the information, and he's recovered millions for his clients. So you don't have to just accept those issues. You can go out and and fight back with those insurance companies, PalermoPA.com. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Covers all things Gators. What's up, Scotty? How are you, my friend?
Hey, JP, doing well, man. Lots been going on up here. Probably since last time we talked.
Yes.
So yeah, ready for the spring game and just a little this, little that, buddy.
So how has the Billy Napier era gotten started? Just catch us up with recruiting classes, transfer portal, just how he's being accepted and loved, and all the fans jumping on the Billy Napier train here in the past couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, you know how this works. New coach, the honeymoon period is pretty long at the start, and I mean, it's interesting just to watch the difference, with Napier's style compared to Dan Mullen's style, and really any of the previous coaches' styles since I've been around. I mean, he's a very measured, mild-mannered guy. I've been watching him during a couple of scrimmages, and he's just a cool customer. And if you've seen some videos of him or any of his press conference, he's pretty laid back at the podium. He thinks a lot, but he doesn't get emotional in his delivery. And I just think he's trying to come in and create that culture and kind of rein the program in a little bit. I think, unfortunately, with the way last season went, it was obvious by the end that they just had some discipline issues, too many penalties, accountability issues, and it showed up on the field. And it's been a real culture shift, I think, under Billy Napier. He had a difficult task. The recruiting class was really ranked low at the end of the year. Him and the staff came in and really, got it respectable in a short amount of time. And it's still not where he wants it to be, obviously. But you can tell just by what they've been doing on social media and just from visits and the other indicators in recruiting, they are working tirelessly in that area. And I think he knows, number one, that's where you have to do it at. And it's going to be interesting to see just how it evolves under him, because it's a different kind of program than it was 6 months, a year ago.
Is it safe to say, Scott, that the Gators have gone away from a philosophy as let's go get a successful coach who's done it in this league in Dan Mullen, who has a track record, to saying, you know what? Even though Billy Napier hasn't done it at this level, one of the things we know about him is he's an elite recruiter. And before we do the X's and O's, we got to get the Jimmy and Joes. If we're going to compete with Georgia, we're going to compete with Alabama, we got to have better talent, because if you can't match up talent-wise, it doesn't matter how good your coaching is. Is that fair to say?
No, I think that's spot on, JP. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say like Dan Mullen. I mean, I know Dan Mullen's a very good football coach. And,
damn right.
They won a lot of games with him there. And I've never seen a season turn left or a tenure turn left as quickly as his did. But I think it was obvious at the end, wow, Florida is really not getting it done in recruiting. And this new world of college football that's here, and it's not going anywhere, whether it's the NIL, the transfer portal, just other factors. I mean, for veteran coaches, you either going to have to adjust or look elsewhere. And Billy Napier's young enough and grew up in this world where I think Scott Strickland, just from what he said, interviewing him, keep an eye on his career. I mean, he knew that this guy had a plan. He did his research, and Napier's only been here, I think, 4 months ago this week. It was his introductory press conference. But you don't have to spend much time around him or listen to him talk to know that, man, this guy, he walked in the door with a notebook and an attention to detail map that includes everything, obviously, at the top from recruiting and how to win and that kind of stuff, but also just the details of the day-to-day, whether it's the food, getting the parking situation better, just hearing the players talk. It's just a different culture, and you don't have that kind of culture unless you have someone at the top who's really an attention to detail kind of guy.
Scott Carter joining us here from FloridaGators.com, covering Florida spring football. Yeah, that's the sense I get from very similar to what you hear from Mike Norvell at Florida State too. Both of these guys are just tireless workers, and and they have a plan for every second, every minute of the day. And it's what you got to do these days as a CEO of these huge multi-million-dollar endeavors, so to speak. And so let's talk a little bit about what's going on for the spring game. That's next weekend, the 14th, 7:30. What do the fans need to know about this in terms of going, what they're going to see, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. Probably the biggest news really of spring camp, JP, besides Emory Jones, finally deciding to enter the transfer portal, was the spring game. They moved it from originally April 16th to Saturday. So it's April 14th on a Thursday night. And again, that was a Napier decision because he realized, okay, all these other SEC schools are having their spring games on Saturday, and SEC Network and ESPN are going to be kind of sharing resources there. So why don't we move it to Thursday night for the first time ever, and we can have that spotlight to ourselves. So they moved it to Thursday night. That's going to be on the SEC Network and streamed across some platforms. And they're planning for a big night for visits. And the football part of it, JP, I mean, I'm one of those people that I've never loved spring football. I think it's important for the coaches and obviously the players to get some time together, especially when you have a staff that's new, to learn about each other. But a lot of times the games are more glorified scrimmages.
Yeah.
But I think just from what he's released publicly so far, I mean, he wants them to get out there and he wants to see them in a competitive, pressurized environment. So, I mean, he's got them running out of different tunnels at the stadium. That's a little new. And, there's still going to be some limits on hitting quarterbacks and that thing. But I do think you're going to see some competition out there that we haven't seen in a while. Mullen's philosophy was more or less make it a show and just a celebratory day. I think in Napier's situation, it's going to be a little more competitive because he wants to find out exactly some of these what these guys can do.
And you mentioned Emory Jones is gone, and I'm guessing Anthony Richardson is the heir apparent here. I know we got Carlos Del Rio Wilson, Jack Miller, Jalen Kitna, all of those guys in the mix. What do you see at the quarterback spot?
Well, I've seen Anthony really, he looks like he's fine from his off-season knee surgery. I mean, there were questions at the start of camp, how available he would be, but he's been out there from the get-go in spring. And I do see a guy who's improved some with his throwing. So that's optimistic for Gators. But I've also seen, Jack Miller, the transfer they brought in from Ohio State. He's the more traditional, drop back passer. Looks like he's got a pretty good arm. I mean, Richardson has done nothing. I mean, he's the guy. And I think if you really look at what Billy Napier did at Louisiana, I mean, he runs the ball a lot. He likes to use that quarterback position. It's going to be a different kind of offense than Dan Mullen had. But I do believe that Richardson, if he can stay healthy, can really shine. And then Miller and some of the other guys, maybe a passing situation, maybe they get some work. But yeah, if things go the way the Gators would like, I think Anthony Miller has a huge breakout season in 2022. And, you can turn around a program a lot quicker when you have a dynamic player like him if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you sense any of these transfers or incoming freshmen are going to have a huge impact? I know some guys are already on campus, and we may see a glimpse of that in the spring game. Who might some of those new names be?
Yeah, I mean, the freshman that I really like is Kamari Wilson. He was a 5-star kid from the IMG Academy who they flipped right at the end after Napier got here. And, they're weak at that position, so there's some opportunity for him. There's some guys who aren't here yet, especially a tight end. Tony Livingston, a kid from down in Tampa, Hayden Halter, another tight end. So those guys, with the tight end situation with so many injuries this spring, and they've moved the defensive lineman over to take some reps at tight end because of the lack of depth there. So those guys, I think, will be watched closely in the fall once they get here to have an opportunity. I don't think any of them are going to be Kyle Pitts, JP.
Yeah.
But you got to have some production there at that position. And the offensive line, I think, is probably one of the strengths right now. The running backs, they've got some depth there, but I think defensively, especially in the back end and at linebacker, there's going to be a lot of opportunities there for the younger players to maybe grab a role and run with it if they can get out there and produce.
Scott Carter joining us here from FloridaGators.com. So as you look, I mean, there's so many question marks, especially when you have a new head coach. But it's not like this Gator team is devoid of talent. I know they haven't had great recruiting years under Mullen, but Napier's brought in some key players. You mentioned Kamari Wilson. You got the transfer guys. What's realistic next year? 9 wins, 8 wins, 10 wins? What do you think?
JP, this is a tough one for me, man. I mean, I think their first team is going to be pretty solid. And, if they stay healthy, I can see, to me, 9 wins would be a really good season.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been surprised before. Like I said earlier, Anthony Richardson's a different kind of talent, man. I mean, he is, when he is healthy, and I don't know if we've ever seen him healthy consistently, but I mean, you have to go back and watch that second half of the LSU game last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was unbelievable in just bringing the Gators back to give him a chance there. I mean, I don't know if he really blossoms into the player that a lot of people think he can be, 9-10 wins, who knows? But right now, my safe pick, I'm going in the 8-4 category.
Okay.
9 or 10 would be on the plus side, but we'll see. It's just and there's going to be some attrition. Billy Napier said it the other day after the first scrimmage. They've got some spots open. He's going to be very aggressive in the transfer portal. So there's going to be some faces in the fall that aren't here now, and some faces that are here now that won't be. So this is still an evolving roster.
That's interesting, because you would think that most of those deals are already done, but you think there could be some big, because there still are some good players out there, I guess, in the transfer portal, which just changes everything. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, you know how it is these days after spring ball, if there'll be some guys who entered the transfer portal who aren't there now. So I just think it's almost, it's going to be one of those things. There's different periods throughout the year where it's like the transfer portal season. And I think that period after spring going into summer is going to be one of those times.
Yeah, I'm looking at this schedule. So you open with Utah in Gainesville. That's an interesting opener. That's not Slippery Rock, to be sure.
Yep.
So that's a little different for them. And then you got USF coming to Gainesville on September 17th, and Kentucky mixed in there. And Kentucky's no joke, as we obviously know now. They're a much better football team. Eastern Washington is one of the cupcakes in there. I'm looking at so they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 home games by October 15th. That's a lot of home cooking right there. Absolutely.
Yeah, if there's one plus, it's that Napier does get to do it at the Swamp at the start of his tenure, with only road trip I think is at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Those first 6 or 7 games, but as you mentioned, I mean, Utah coming to the Swamp for the first time, I think, since 1977. So that tells you how long that's been. That's a part of a home and home deal. The Gators are going to go out there, I think, in 23 or 4. Don't have it right in front of me, but that's an interesting game. And it's going to be a big test right away. I mean, the Utah's a good program, and if they can win that game, I think it will do big things for their early confidence, but I could see them easily losing it. And if they do, then you got Kentucky coming into town. And Kentucky really, I think, that loss at Kentucky last year, Mullins, I think, response afterward, I think that really started his downward spiral at Florida. And so, that's going to be a difficult game. And nothing's going to be easy for Billy Napier in his first season, but I can already guarantee he knows that, because he's probably studied everything that's out there over and over before he took the job.
Absolutely.
But I do like his approach, and the players have seemed to really respond to him. I think, they wanted some maybe additional structure, and he's different. He has the command of the team right now. I can tell you that.
Good stuff, Scott. Tell everybody what's going on at FloridaGators.com, how they can get your content, promote whatever you like right here.
Yeah, you know what? Just FloridaGators.com. I'll be out of baseball against Arkansas this weekend. We got the spring game coming up, and Chris Harry's going to cover that.
Nice.
I'm going out to Fort Worth, Texas, JP, for the NCAA Gymnastics Championships.
Ooh.
The Gators are the favorites, so there's always something going on up here, man.
Nice. That should be a fun trip, no doubt. All right, partner, good stuff. We will chat with you down the road as we get closer to the spring game. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right.
The great Scott Carter right there. That's a very interesting season for Florida. They could start 2-0 with 2 huge wins and be welcoming in USF in week 3, or they could go very, very likely could go 0-2 with Utah. And I'm not exactly sure what Utah has coming back. I think they're losing their quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so that's no joke. I mean, and that's something different from Florida. They normally always start with a cupcake at home. So this will be a little different for them. FSU, I think, starts with Duquesne at home, get a cupcake early, and then you got to go on the road to LSU week 2, or actually to New Orleans for week 2, which I got to get my tickets for that. Definitely going to go. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Tiger Woods. The Masters round 2 is underway. Tiger tees off at 1:04, I believe, today. So an afternoon tee time. But DJ is out on the course and trying to catch Sunjay Im, who's in the shot 5 under yesterday and is your leader. So we'll talk some Tiger when we come back. March Madness has come to the Gold and Diamond Source. Did you know the Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month, and the Emily collection has some great unique pieces. It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Julieve collection is Julie and Steve Weintraub's exclusive, one-of-a-kind, award-winning collection of the world's finest diamonds and rare fine gemstone jewelry. Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade at any time and get 100% of its value towards a new purchase. Do you have any old jewelry, broken jewelry, just lying around? Well, bring it in and get top dollar and get even more value if you use that money to buy something new or just take the cash. Shop local with the folks who support our community in so many charitable endeavors. It's the Golden Diamond Source, just a short 15-minute ride from Tampa, just over the bridge on Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. The world economy is in chaos and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595, or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock.
This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. Find out more at PalermoPA.com. Also, by our good friend Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. If you have been in the market for a refi or a new mortgage, he is your guy because he will shop your mortgage around, not just one bank, and get lots of people to compete for your business. And that's where you will get the best rates and the best terms. Also, he does not charge all the big upfront fees. And Scott is different because he will take a personal interest in your finances and make sure that you are using the best strategy in terms of getting cheap money, paying off all your other debts that you may have, and lower all that monthly nut. And you can do that with all that cash that's in your home right now. You have no idea how much more you can get out of it. The prices have gone through the roof. So call Scotty, contact him and find out what your options are. He'll run all the numbers for you, and then you can make the choice. So it's an easy deal. Just email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com. You could literally be saving thousands of dollars a month if you refinance your home and pay off some of those other bills. And wouldn't that be nice to be able to fight back against inflation right now? So you got to be smart with your money, and a great way to do that is find out what you can get out of your house. So just email him, scott@amstampa.com. He's done over 3,000 loans here locally. He's not some Johnny-come-lately to the business. He's worked with some of the biggest coaches and players locally here. So he can handle whatever you got. It's scott@amstampa.com. All right. They are underway at the Masters. And DJ is out on the course this morning. He shot 69 yesterday. I thought he played really, really well. That was yesterday was tough with the wind. And I mean, when it gets that windy out there, you saw so many balls going into Rays Creek at 13. A lot of going into the water at 12. When that wind starts swirling in down at Amen Corner, it's tough. And I thought Tiger played so beautifully yesterday. He did not score as well as he hit the ball. He had a lip out at 5. 5 was just brutal yesterday, so hard. And he had a lip out at 5 that would have basically saved the stroke to the field and gained a stroke to the field if you birdie that hole. And then I thought late in the round, he started, the driver went away a little bit, and it seemed like he was laboring. And as he said after the round, it's going to be a night full of ice. So it'll be interesting to see how he rebounds today from walking and how he feels. I think it's going to be tougher today. The wind is blowing again. The course is drying out. It's getting faster, which is probably to Tiger's advantage. The harder it is out there, the better it is for Tiger's advantage. So we'll see what happens today. He's going to tee off at, I believe, 1 o'clock, 1:04 today. I think is his tee time. And
141.
141. I knew there was a 4 in there somewhere. John Rahm, by the way, is out early this morning. He is at 1 under par. I love his game. They did a great story on him on SportsCenter yesterday. I didn't realize this. He was born with a club foot and had to break it and turn it around when he was a kid. And that's the reason that he has such a short backswing, because he can't load up on that right side as long. He gets very unstable if he takes a bigger, longer swing. Hey, he's probably going to be the number 1 player in the world for the next couple of years. And I think, after winning that U.S. Open and what happened to him at the Memorial last year, in that story, it talked a lot about how he deals with his with the mental part of the game. He writes everything down, he journals everything, and he kind of gets a lot of his angst, because he's a very emotional player, kind of gets that out and handles that in a different way. It's a very interesting story on how he does that. So I like John Rahm this week, and we'll see if he can
stay in the hunt till Sunday. DJ has parred the first 2 holes, which is par on 1 is fantastic. Par on 2, not so good. The par 5 down the hill, especially for DJ. So Some JM is out this morning. He is, I guess he bogeyed the first hole and then came back with a birdie on 3 and is now at 5 under par. Other guys that are out this morning, Lucas Glover at 1 under par. Rom is theirs too. Sorry, Rom is 1 over par. My bad, 1 over par. And then Tiger going out at 141. And it was just, tell you what, I watched every shot of it yesterday. Nick, I know you did too, doing your stuff for Outkick.com. He was as good as I could have hoped for. I mean, he had a nice touch with his chip shots, except for number 8. And I think that's one that really, really got away yesterday. If he gets that shot on number 8 onto the green, came up about 1.5 yards short and kind of kicked back. If it just lands on the green, he's probably got about a 2-footer for birdie. Instead, he makes bogey there, a 2-shot swing. He very easily could have been at 3 or 4 under yesterday. Made a couple of putts, not a lot. But I was very, very encouraged by what I saw. To see him shoot 1 under, to be in the top 10 in the world for not having played in 504 days. That's just incredible. It's just incredible, and just adds to Tiger's legacy. And he's in the hunt. There's no doubt about it. He's in the hunt, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he plays today in these conditions and some of these other players. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Orestes Destrada is going to join us. We're going to talk some Braves baseball opening day, and so an interesting lineup just put out there, including a guy that's played 1 game at first base. Will be starting at first base for your Rays today. Stay with us.
March Madness has come to the Gold and Diamond Source. Did you know the Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month, and the Emily collection has some great unique pieces? It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Julieve collection is Julie and Steve Weintraub's exclusive, one-of-a-kind, award-winning collection of the world's finest diamonds and rare fine gemstone jewelry. Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade at any time and get 100% of its value towards a new purchase. Do you have any old jewelry, broken jewelry, just lying around? Well, bring it in and get top dollar and get even more value if you use that money to buy something new or just take the cash. Shop local with the folks who support our community in so many charitable endeavors. It's the Golden Diamond Source, just a short 15-minute ride from Tampa, just over the bridge on Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Italiano Insurance has been serving and working in our community for over 60 years, and it's not just about insuring all the pieces of your life. Italiano is as much a part of Tampa Bay as the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucks, Lightning, and Rays. They're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799. Crypto.
back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, it's opening day. And it's also the second hour of the JP Peterson Show presented by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Christopher Lugo and his medical team will get you right. If you're looking for a new general practitioner, BAMMC.com. All right, let's bring in the Big O, Orestes Destrada, joining us now, covering the Rays, and also has a new podcast on Sirius XM. What's up, Big O?
Hey,
How
buddy.
are you?
Hey, happy opening day. Happy Friday, just in general about life. And yeah, good stuff going on between, the MLB clearing itself up and finally getting, out. And obviously yesterday the games all, jumped out with excitement, especially over there in St. Louis. And yeah, I got some other good things going on in the professional world with that podcast. We'll talk a little bit about it. It's a lot of excitement for me.
Yeah, let's talk about it right now. I saw the guest list. It's tremendous. Has a nice Tampa flavor to it as well. Tell me who you're doing it with. It's on Sirius XM, when we can hear it, all that good stuff.
Well, listen, basically it's MLBPAA, which is the Players Alumni Association. So the retired players, they do such great things. In fact, this past year, commemorates their 40th year in existence. They're the strongest alumni association, in professional sports, hands down. Just like, the Players Association in baseball is probably the strongest association in sports also, hands down. But what they've done over there, they're based out of Colorado Springs. Honestly, JP has been wonderful works over those 4 decades, leading into mostly, goodwill type situations and non-profitable organization type situations, clinics, and the kids in hospitals, and just a bunch of very, very goodwill type endeavors using older and retired players.
Nice.
Another aspect of that is MLAM, which is the Major League Alumni Marketing, which is a for-profit, and basically it creates opportunities for players to go give talks at schools or actually do private clinics and other different, licensing, shall we say, endeavors. Well, they combined and came up with an opportunity to do this podcast called Legends Lounge. And what a great concept. I mean, it really kind of came up with in the middle of last year. They approached myself and Scott Braun, Scotty B, as we call him, who does a lot of things for MLB Network on TV. Mostly, you'll see him throughout the whole season. He's been there now the last couple of years, and is a great, driver, host of the show. And what we're doing really is interviewing weekly a different former great. I mean, it doesn't have to always be a Hall of Famer, but we got a handful of those already in the can, as they say. And we're starting out. We just did. So if you get a chance, you can listen on any of the podcast scenarios that you listen to. Spotify, XM, Sirius XM jumped in and heard a couple of our already done scenarios before we've obviously put it out last December, JP, and loved it. And we've done a deal and collaborated with them, actually a 2-year deal. And we'll be on for 40 weeks. And we're going to be bringing you the likes of, Chipper Jones, which is the leadoff hitter.
Awesome.
Chef, Lou Piniella. Lou's got some great stories.
Oh my God!
And my flavor.
Yes.
I added a segment towards the end of every interview, and that little segment is called "No Way Jose." So "No Way Jose" is basically a goofier, zany story that maybe you've never told. And keep it. It is a podcast, but keep it as clean as you can. And it's on field, off the field, it's a hotel, something kooky that happened to you, you saw. And my gosh, like I said, we've done already about 4 or 5 that we've canned because we're keeping it generic. This is not topical to, hey, so-and-so hit 3 home runs yesterday or something, so-and-so had no hitter. This is about their career and their X's and O's, but mostly about what are they doing now, interests after baseball. But those stories so far are just hilarious because baseball, I will tell you this, and leading off of that and going into just baseball in general, and I know you love it.
Yeah.
Because you're a fan and know baseball very well, as much as you were an incredible football guy and hockey, by the way.
Thank you.
I've heard you, forever, and you carry all three of those. I don't think your soccer prowess is at the level of Messi yet. But,
awful soccer. Awful. That's not my. That is not my jam, brother.
Baseball is about stories a lot, man.
It really is,
and because it's a day to day. You play 162 games. You got spring training. You're with your guys every day. I mean, MLB, or professional baseball, minor leagues. You're together so much. It just breeds stories. More so than the other sports where a lot of their days are spent either off or practicing.
Yeah.
While baseball, you're on, and these stories are juicy and they're hilarious and sometimes just downright.
And some of the best storytellers ever in baseball, no doubt. All right, let's talk a little bit about this Rays team, my friend. By the way, we got the opening lineup today. Yandy Diaz leading off, playing third. Wander Franco playing short, hitting second. Harold Ramirez hitting third, playing first base for the second time in his
how about that
his career. What? Randy Arozarena.
It's Ray.
It's the Rays. Randy Arozarena playing left field in cleanup. Brandon Lau will play second base and bat fifth. Mike Zanino will play center, play catcher, and bat sixth. Josh Lowe will be the DH today. Batting seventh, Manuel Margot will be in right field, and Kevin Kiermaier will be in center field. Yeah, so I think it's a great lineup, by the way. I'm excited to see these guys play, but also Harold Ramirez at first base. And it's not been his forte, but this is kind of what the Rays do. No. What do you think?
It's exactly what the Rays do, and it's exactly how the Rays have had success. It's very calculated, sometimes offbeat and scratch your head. But then that goes all the way back to Joe Madden.
Yeah.
I still remember the time. It's funny with the shift, it's going to be changing next year. For the first time, Joe Madden put, I think it was Ben Zobrist was playing second that day, and he put Ben on the left side on shortstop. In the history of, my, 2 decades at that time, now 3 in baseball, had I ever seen a right side of the infield guy ever on the left side.
Yeah.
You only seen since the Ted Williams days to the shortstop shift to the right side.
Yeah.
So, mainly because of the fact that you have a man on first, it's hard to turn double play, but they figured it out. They still turn double play.
Yeah.
This is a Rays organization that does things differently. Now, I will say, Josh Lowe at DH, you're going to be nervous. At least, you don't have to worry about playing in the field. I'm so excited about that kid.
Yeah.
I really am. Even though, who's, not a bit upset about the Austin Meadows trade.
Yeah.
Didn't see it coming. Austin Meadows didn't see it coming. That's been his comment. I feel that the organization itself, especially Kevin Cash, has said that this is going to be, tough numbers we're going to have to all group together when you're going to replace not only 33 homers and 106 RBIs, but moving forward, a guy that I think could vie for, outside chance of being an MVP of an American League.
Yeah.
So that one is the only way that Josh Lowe got up here, but I do like the kid Josh Lowe quite a bit.
What do you think they got enough back in return? My problem with that trade is, and I think it does have a lot to do with their payroll constraints. I think you got to get a major league piece back for Austin Meadows, a starting pitcher or a bullpen stopper, something, getting an infielder, and we're loaded at those particular positions. And I think Parade is a good prospect, but when you this is a guy that's hitting 30 bombs, 100 RBIs a year. This is not, this is not a 60 RBI guy. This is a bona fide, as you said, MVP candidate. To me, especially when you're in a win now mode like the Rays are, you got to get back a major league piece. And I was a little disappointed in the return.
Here's the return. The return is really Josh Lowe.
Yeah.
So Josh Lowe is the major league piece. You have to look at it that way. They never looked at Paredes in this trade. But I hear what you're saying. If you're going to go apples to apples, then give me a major league piece for this apple.
I mean, we could still use an experienced starting pitcher. We could still use an experienced closer, right?
Yeah. And again, their comments, and I respect the Rays dramatically.
Of course.
I'll say again that sentence. I respect the Rays dramatically in the sense that their moves, albeit not, kind of normal at times. This definitely being one. Have parlayed into still 90+ wins now for the last several years.
Absolutely.
And playoff appearances and World Series appearances. So it's frustrating as it is. And as much as the organization, said was not a money move, it's hard to think that it's not, because it looked, he was making $4 million. This guy goes out and hits 35 home runs, drives in 110 this year. That $4 million turns into $8 million really quick, or if not, actually maybe even more in arbitration.
Yeah,
he could
absolutely.
be looking at 12.
Right.
In arbitration, forget about free agency. He could, his numbers could explode that dramatically. When you talk about numbers again, they can conversely say at around the same time. It's very interesting if you really truly follow the phrase like I do. They will make a move, and then there will be a counter move, that is very interesting, curious, pro, con, the last move that was made. So here's the pro move. On the heels of that, they end up signing Manuel Margot to a 2-year deal. A 2-year deal at $7 million and extension wise,
and then $10 million. Yeah.
Making 6.5 this year. They tied him up for like 7, if I'm not mistaken, and somewhere near, I think, 10.
Yeah.
In the second year, and then 12 in a maybe a couple $1 million buyout. So they dedicated millions of dollars. There's some millions. It's a give and take here that they end up doing, and I understand for their they looked at it and they go, okay, we can get Josh Lowe, and Paredes could be a big boy down the road, which I've seen him. So I remember when he came up last year for a little bit. I like the kid. And then we can, still sign Manuel Margot then when we unleash this contract, that in the future, maybe as soon as next year, Austin Meadows is, going to cost us $8, $10, $12 million.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk a little bit about Wander Franco, because I think this is obviously, his first full season. Everybody has already penciled him in for 25 and 100 RBIs, and as you know, it's not that easy. Even with a guy that's as explosive and talented as Wander Franco, the kid, his mental makeup. It seems like nothing bothers him. How do you think that he handles this type of pressure? The new contract. I know he's not making a lot of money this year, only $1 million, but the new contract and all the expectations.
Well, number one, great job by the Rays to land this and land it the way that they did.
Yep.
It's basically a 10-year deal, I think, with an option or so, and the first 4 years, you and I have talked about it. It's 4 years at $18 million, so extremely, extremely manageable for a person of this ilk. Secondly, he's never going to have a target as big as he does right now, right?
Right.
Because this team, especially after the Austin Meadows trade, now the target is squarely on him. Obviously, Rosarena gets them, but not really. Rosarena is still kind of just, he didn't put it all together last year. I love him. I think he could be MVP. I mean, there's no doubt this guy can come out and just go off and hit 40 and driving, 120. But it's not, the target is not on Rosarena. It's more on offensively now, squarely on Franco, and then a potential Brandon Lau, who's still going to look. Brandon gets pushed down against lefties in the lineup, so he may sit sometimes. This kid's not going to sit at all. Just to rest at times. But that's second. The third thing is the key thing. he has a talent that's otherworldly.
Yep.
He has a talent. That talent, I'm going to explain what it is. It's incredible hand-eye coordination at very well reacting to pitches. Not only does he also have baseball acumen, he's very good on his feet. He sets himself well. He's got a strong arm, runs above average, all that. Yeah, good. There's a bunch of players like that. The hand-eye coordination is the level of the Wade Boggs, Tony Gwynn, Ichiro Suzuki, Don Mattingly, Tony Gwynn, the best of them. And I'm going like the last 20 years that people would
it's
recall.
High praise indeed.
That is high praise. Okay, so that hand-eye coordination plus the fact that he's power packed, which really Tony Gwynn wasn't, Wade Boggs wasn't, Ichiro didn't look to do that. He actually did have power, but wasn't. And then Mattingly at time would take advantage of the porch, but not really. This kid could hit 30 without a problem, and then some. Now, so that prowess is at another elite level, that hand-eye coordination that recognizes in a split second, in a nanosecond, ball from strike from ball, and how well I'm going to get my hands and the head of the bat to that ball from both sides of the plate. I will say, from the right side, he's even a notch more worldly. So you're going to watch and listen to me now as we're talking here on April 8th, that his splits are going to be more dramatic from the right side. He's going to probably hit, I think, 330 from the right side, 305 from the left side, and even out somewhere around, 315 or so. That's how good he is from the right side. Having been a switch hitter and really studying his swing, it's stupid from the right side, okay? Just ridiculous. So it's interesting that we're going to get to see, him against a very tough Means, who he doesn't have. Oh, by the way, here's another thing to add to number 4. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience on all the pitchers in the major leagues. Exactly. This kid's still learning as you go. Well, I'm not expecting that MVP year this year. I'm really not. I'm expecting a great year. That monster year, it's 1 year, 2 years away. And that's going to be that year where he hits like 350. And, that just that one MVP, of those crazy Boggs win type year. Yeah. When he understands all the pitchers and he hits 350, 35 home runs, scores 110 runs, and drives in 110. I mean, one of those type years. But the kid is something else. And there's the last thing that I used at the major level in Japan. He doesn't speak English.
Okay.
Now listen to that sentence.
Okay.
He doesn't speak English. Believe it or not, and however much English he does know or doesn't know, I suggest to him to hide it. Okay? And I didn't speak Japanese early on in my career there. By the second year or so, I understood quite a bit. By the third year, a lot. By the fourth year, really good. And when I came back, good. And now I've lost a lot of ground. I'm talking about it all the time, but it's still pretty darn good.
Right.
Here's the reason why. Because you're not reading the press. You're not listening to, jibber jabber. You're definitely not on social media. He will be on social media in Spanish. I'm sure he's, he's massaging that and trying to take advantage of that for marketing purposes. It's a different social media in Spanish and stuff, but they're just going to love him, you know?
Exactly.
Kind of like soccer. It's not trolling as much as
there are no Spanish-speaking trollers out there. Really? That's interesting.
I'm sure there are. I'm not saying they're not.
Not to the level of the jerks in
I'm
English.
Sure the Messis and the Cristiano Ronaldos get it. It's an interesting topic for one day for us to discuss and talk about because it's such an incredible, impactful.
It's not part of the Latin culture, ripping people on Twitter.
But
that's a good thing.
It's not. It's not as much as to try to dog, and try to catch them and say, "Oh, I got Messi," to bitch back at me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Good. That's a great.
Same thing
that's
in
a
Japan.
plus.
Same thing in Japan. Not much about their talent that they love and watch to try to dog them. People still going to get in trouble anyway, just on their own. Soccer players and famous people in Japan, So, but what he said is that he doesn't have to listen to that. You know what I mean? He'll
Right.
answer. Look at Acuna. Acuna made a kind of a misstep the other day in an interview that the media grabbed, and the translation that this guy said was something that, you know, he had some issues back in 2018 with Freeman, and the English media took it and just front paged it.
You're right. Right.
And we're all by his locker room yesterday or the day before, and you know, he should say, man, that was exaggerated. I meant this, and he downplayed it, and that's it. You can't really nail him, because how many questions can you ask him that need to be translated? He's just going to say, yo no sé. Yo no sé in Spanish. If you don't know what that phrase is, it's 3 words where you can almost say it like one, yo no sé. Yo no sé. And I always joke because there's an actual, what is it? I think it's an amplifier or a something to do with sound, and I think it's called Yonose. It's I believe it's Japanese, and it's a one word company. YONESE. Well, those are 3 words in Spanish. Yo no sé. Yo no sé means I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a great phrase.
You don't know.
And you just say it.
Just keep saying it. Yeah.
Yo no sé.
Yes.
And I don't know. Anything. And I'm telling you, he needs to say that a lot, because that I would go home when I had my rough days in Japan, and thankfully most of them were good days. You know, here there.
Yeah.
And it helped that I could just lay my head down on the pillow and say,
That's very
I don't
interesting.
care what this is about me. I know I'm struggling. I'll figure it out. I'll get.
But you don't have that negativity in your head of all reading all that crap. So that's a good thing. All right,
You're cutting it out.
One last question. I got to get your thoughts on this, because you know this as well as anybody. When you're a guy that counted on to be a bopper and drive in runs, like everybody has a role, right? So, you know, Austin Meadows drove in 106. He was one of your big RBI guys. That's a different mentality. It's a different type of responsibility. So does that go to a Rosarena? Does it go to Brandon Lau? Does it go to Franco? Does it go to Ramirez? Like who? And are these guys equipped to be able to take on that responsibility? Is it a different mental responsibility?
It is a different mental responsibility because of the fact that if you feel that locker room had to be pretty kind of stunned, you know, when they walked in, and really, you tell me, you and I both dealing with, you know, spring training notes and stuff coming out every day. Did not that trade surprise you?
No, I thought Meadows was going to get dealt. I really did. I thought he was going to get dealt because of Josh Lowe. I expected much more in return. I mean, that's what shocked me.
Exactly. That's what I meant. Like, this is what we got. Like, if they got a frontline pitcher, an RBI guy, you know, back, of which actually Detroit, you know, has a handful of young guys that you could say, okay, you know, give me, you know, so and so. That wasn't the case. So that left now this locker room offensively thinking we have to, you know, fill that gap.
Right.
Management said it.
Yeah.
We have to fill that gap. They should not go into the season, though. It's a delicate, fine line of the question you ask, because you cannot go into the season and go like now Yandy Diaz or Rosarena, a Wander. Okay, you know, now I really got to press and I got to get every RBI. I don't think they're going to do that. They've been pretty good, and their mantra ever since Joe Madden, and definitely fine-tuned and used to this new phrase, you know, process and team by Kevin Cash, wonderful guy and manager and leader, is just do your thing. Do you know, concentrate on that. We're going to have interchangeable lineups. Don't press yourself.
Okay.
So, you know, when you come down to it, it still is about their arms. You know, and they, albeit they scored the second most runs in the major leagues. How? I'll tell you quickly. They're one of the most athletic teams. Here's a funny thing. Back in the day when I was in spring training with the Yankees, we used to have they do it even to this day. You have your physical, and they would test your body fat. Back then, I was 6'4", and even from Japan, when I went to Japan, it went even lower because of the training that I did those years in Japan. But at that point, you know, those years, my body fat would always come back around 9.5, between 9.5 and 10.5.
Damn.
And I was proud of that, you know. I was lean. Ricky Henderson would come out of that testing. They would always, would think, let's see what Ricky, 3.5 body fat.
That's
like
ridiculous.
World-class sprinter type stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His skin and his muscles he was unbelievable strength. This Rays team, the reason they score so many runs, I said it last year, they're so athletic. I believe they have to be one of the leanest, lowest body fat teams in all of baseball.
Interesting.
And I think that it's not so much that they're great hitters, because you see how they go through these slumps at times, right? When you're scratching your head, right? But athletically, they run, and doubles turn into triples. They score on singles from second without a problem.
Yeah.
And that's the athleticism. They still have that. In fact, Josh Lowe is going to have even more, because he's way faster than Meadows ever will be.
Yeah,
so
I think that's part
the
of
deal.
it. Yeah.
And that coupled with great pitching will win you a lot of ball games.
All right, my friend. We just went through a half hour talking baseball with the Big O, man. I could go for days and days, man. I really appreciate your time as always, my friend. We will check out the podcast. We'll get your Rays analysis from time to time, and always love chatting with you, my friend. Appreciate it. We'll chat soon.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Thank you, JP. God bless you and your show.
Yeah, you too. The great Orestes Destrada, and we'll retweet the podcast information as well. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to chat with Corey Long, who covers the Bolts for NHL.com, also big college football guy as well. We'll talk some spring practice, some Bolts, maybe even talk a little Tiger when we come back. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. We'll also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary. One 5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. March Madness has come to the Gold and Diamond stores. Did you know Aquamarine is the birthstone of the month, and the Emily collection has some great unique pieces. It's designed to be affordable, unique, stylish gold and diamond jewelry. The Julieve collection is Julie and Steve Weintraub's exclusive, one-of-a-kind, award-winning collection of the world's finest diamonds and rare fine gemstone jewelry.
Don't forget, they have 0% financing and the Diamond Savings Account, where your diamond never loses its value. You can upgrade at any time and get 100% of its value towards a new purchase. Do you have any old jewelry, broken jewelry, just lying around? Well, bring it in and get top dollar and get even more value if you use that money to buy something new or just take the cash. Shop local with the folks who support our community in so many charitable endeavors. It's the Golden Diamond Source, just a short 15-minute ride from Tampa, just over the bridge on Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Italiano Insurance has been serving and working in our community for over 60 years, and it's not just about insuring all the pieces of your life. Italiano is as much a part of Tampa Bay as the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucks, Lightning, and Rays. They're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. In our second hour, Wade is blowing a gale out at the Masters. It's going to be tough scoring today, no doubt about it. All right, let's talk some Bolts and some college football with our good friend Corey Long. He's probably watching Tiger as well, because everybody's watching Tiger. What's up, Corey? How are you?
Hey, what's up, JP? What time is Tiger go today? About 1?
1:40. 1:41.
1:40. Okay, yeah. I know they were early yesterday, so yeah, I'll be watching definitely.
Did you watch a little Tiger yesterday?
Yeah, I watched most of it yesterday. I'd probably say I saw him get the birdie on 16th. It was, pretty exciting.
Yeah,
it was really exciting. I saw him close out, and it's just, you remember when he was at the Valspar a few years ago, and we had to park out in in Pasco County to get there. It's just,
Nobody moves the million needle like
impressive.
Tiger. Oh my God. So this Bolts team, I'm not panicking yet. I don't think anybody in that franchise is panicking yet, but it's not the same team, but I also don't think it's going to be the same team that we see 2 or 3 games before the playoffs and in the playoffs. This team is notorious for being able to flip the switch. Do you think they still have that ability and that talent level to be able to do it and be competitive in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly the belief, and they're sandbagging a little. I think there is some real frustration in some aspects of the game, notably the penalty kill, notably taking as many penalties as they do, taking them when they do, giving up the first goal, which they've done. It feels like they've done pretty much every game since the All-Star break. I think those are things that they want to fix. I do think that, when you look, the result, it's always, and they talk about the process over the result. Well, the process is never to be chasing games as much as they have been. They haven't played with the lead in a week, at second. Even the game that they won against the Carolina, they never played with the lead in that game. So those are things that, and then when they play with, they've struggled playing with the lead a little bit too. So I think you have, and it's also against certain teams that they want to perform a little better. I think, I don't think you mind the loss against Montreal was a little frustrating. Obviously, they were up by 2 on a couple of occasions. They should have won. They didn't win. They lose in a shootout. But, that's okay. They're losing 6-2 to Toronto, and, hope, and, they want to perform better tonight against Boston. Those are things that they want to do. Whether they win or lose, they just want to perform better.
Right.
I think, Toronto was a bad performance. They really – and don't get me wrong. Toronto's hot on the sticks right now. Mitch Marner is the best player in hockey. I've been a big Huberdeau guy all year, but Mitch Marner right now.
Mitch Marner is the best player in hockey?
There's nobody in any sport playing better than he is right now in hockey,
Okay.
Period. He's better than Joel Embiid is in basketball right now. That's how good. The guy's getting 3 points a night,
Better than Austin Matthews?
Yeah, I do. I think he's better than. I mean, I thought what he did against Tampa and what he did against Florida. I think he sets the table so well.
Yes, he does.
And Matthews is a world class finisher.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't always look at goals,
right,
and decide. I mean, but Mitch Marner, the thing is, together they're so scary. But if you can stop Mitch, you can stop Matthews a lot of times. But Mitch is just what he does with the puck, the way he can get into areas, the way he sees the ice in the offensive zone. He's hard. He is hard to stop. I mean, he hit back to 4-point games against Tampa, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that?
That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean,
I think he's on like a 9-game multi-point streak or something. This is ridiculous.
So when you look at this team, and when you look at this team and you see the giveaway, to me, it's the turnovers and it's the odd man rushes that are killing this team. I mean, this will come. I'm not concerned about that, but is it just because they're missing McDonough, or is it? To me, it seems like a lack of focus from the forwards. Some of Kucherov and points plus minuses, and I know that's not the end all be all, but it just shows that I don't think they're playing with the intensity level and the focus that they need to play with going into the playoffs. Your thoughts?
Not at all. And it's funny because it's interesting because the one thing we would have been looking at right now is this new reconstructed third line with Colton, Nick Paul, Brandon Hagel, and I could say that's the least of their worries,
right.
Especially Nick Paul.
Yeah.
You talk about a revelation.
He's playing well.
Yeah, but I'm kind of I look at this thing and I'm thinking like, do they move some other guy around just to get them in, get them in better spots? Palat hasn't done much offensively in 2 months.
Yeah, nothing.
They got to figure out a way to get that guy at least back on track somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. So the turnovers, yeah. I mean, I know Stamkos has had some bad turnovers. He got benched a little bit for I think for the Carolina game, or it was the Carolina game, the Montreal game. I don't remember right now. And he got shunted down to the third line for a practice after another game where his puck management wasn't good. Kucherov, he can go through those periods where he's really lackadaisical with the puck, and he's doing that right now. There's a couple things. There's a few things you can look at here. There is a fatigue level. There's no. I mean, they don't have any margin of error right now because they have no money, so they have no other. They have the 12 forwards that they have is who they're playing. So they got to play these guys. They'd love to be in spots where they can give some of these guys a rest, like they did last year. During the final weekend, they don't really have that. My guess is when McDonough comes back and plays, that they might experiment. They might look at Dresden 70 at some point next week, and maybe see if they, pick and choosing a guy they can give a night off to, because they have played a lot of hockey. I think you got 14, 15 games this month. It's a ton of games. It's back to backs, 3 and 4, 4 and 6 sort of thing. So it's that's the one area they could help. It's just by maybe these guys need a little bit of rest. I can definitely feel that. No one's played more hockey in the last 3 years than these guys.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what me some optimism here is. I do think they're just worn out. It's a time of the season where everybody else is gung ho, and they know what they have. They know what they have. They know what they can do. Yeah. It's just hard to manufacture that intensity in your mind that you need to at this point of the season when they know they're going to be in the playoffs. They don't know who they're going to play yet. And I don't think they really care, but I think they just know that they need.
No, I don't think they care.
Yeah, I think they they're biding their time to the games really, really, really count. And I know that sounds crazy for fans, but I just think that's the reality for the players. They've been there. Yeah. They know what the deal is, and they know when it really counts, and that's the playoffs.
Yeah, it seems weird from a fan standpoint because we're used to things like, you need home ice. You want to play. Their first 2 rounds last year, they didn't have home ice, and they won in 6 and 5. So it's not, and home ice in hockey. I mean, it might be the most meaningless thing in hockey. Really, it's
Game 7 it matters, I think, but If you're getting
I
it
don't
over in
know.
6 and
What
5.
happened to the last home game? It didn't matter when they played the Capitals a few years ago. You play for Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and they got smoked.
Yep.
And they beat the Rangers in a Game 7. When I first started covering this team.
Yep.
You think you're never going to win that at Madison Square Garden. It matters a little, but I actually think it puts too much pressure on you. The later it goes, the later down the stretch in the playoff. I mean, the first round, I think it matters maybe. If you look at the game they won against the Islanders last year, it was great, but it was a shorthanded goal with a rare breakdown. A breakdown the Islanders would never have made otherwise.
Yeah.
Like that game might still be going on right now.
Well, the thing is, you think about the 7th game, which, of course, you always want to have at home. I get it. But I think what's more important sometimes is those first 2 games are on the road for you. And, and that's the pressure you're talking about on the home team where you can just come in there.
Absolutely.
You get that early lead, and then you got games at home. And then it seems like the other team is fighting an uphill battle. That can always be, I think, a mental edge for you. Hey, last question for you. And I've heard some people in the organization talk about this, and I don't want to. Certainly want to get into some people's personal business, but it's not just the Lightning Russian players. It's all the Russian players in the league that have, there's a lot of shit talk going around about the Russian players, which I think is ridiculous. But I've also heard that they're having trouble communicating with their family at home, getting money to them. And some of them have relationships with Putin. It doesn't seem like all of the Russian players around the league are playing at their optimum. And obviously we rely on 3 guys that are the keys to this team. And I think, Vasilevsky certainly hasn't been the superhuman goalie. It's not to criticize him and to say, hey, let's give these guys a little bit of deference here. This is an unbelievable situation that they may be dealing with some real serious shit that we have no idea about. And frankly, I don't know how the hell you play hockey when your homeland is at war and maybe you have family members in Ukraine. I mean, we just don't know. Do you think that's having any effect on the guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just the natural effect of, like you said, not, there's a lot that they don't know. They're not there.
Right.
Like I don't know what their communication situation is with their family, but I would assume it's not good.
Right.
And, and at times like these, they are all they have to lean on, really, because they're the only people that really know their situations to an extent. They haven't been made available to the media much. I think both Sergachev and Vasilevsky spoke on the road, which they didn't when they weren't doing Zoom, so they only had to speak to 1 or 2 guys that were traveling with the team. And I think basically the idea was that when Ovechkin spoke when the war began, that was gonna, that he was speaking for, the Russian players in the league. He was kind of making that statement with him being
right.
they're very much the godfather of the group. So yeah, I do. And I don't talk to any of them right now. We can't talk to them. I've seen them a few times strolling down the hall as they were leaving from morning skate. You just nod and say hello. But I would imagine absolutely there's some things, and I expect the organization to be giving them whatever support that they need, however they can.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. And do I think it affects your plan? Sometimes. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if they have family that are actually directly involved.
Could very well be.
We don't know. Like you said, you have family in the Ukraine that might be threatened. It's a very serious thing.
No question about it. Hey, last thing. I know you're always keeping your eye on college football here. We got a lot of spring games coming up. Any storylines that you're really looking at in these games? FSU, the USF, any of those?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, Billy Napier coming out last week and basically saying that we need players. That tells me that, he's went through spring, he sees what he has, and he sees the schedule and realizes that it ain't close to good enough.
Yeah.
So I guess with Florida next Thursday, I'm curious at seeing who I believe is going to make the team. That's going to be like a who's going to make the team sort of spring game. Guys might be playing hard. Florida State plays tomorrow. I want to see if they've got some offensive weapons. I want to see if they got any. Tight end situation is pretty meager. They've got a bunch of new wide receivers coming in, but the guy that that was really expected to lead the group had unfortunately suffered a really bad car accident. You don't know what his availability is going to be for this whole year. He's got some injuries he's got to deal with. And how well those guys play will let me know how much Jordan Travis has improved.
I'm hearing Micah Pittman's lighting it up.
Yeah, I hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I also hear is that he and the other guy, Johnny Wilson, are catching a lot of passes from Tate Rodemaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't want to see that. I want to see him catching passes from Jordan Travis because Tate Rodemaker's playing, there's problems.
Yeah. No, I mean, you think he's gotten a lot of good pub lately, Rodemaker. So
you stop.
We'll see.
Here's the problem with you FSU fans. I'm going to tell you this. All right? You had bad quarterback play for so long, you sell yourself on guys like Tate Rodemaker. All right? This is what happens when Sam Howell leaves you at the altar.
Yes.
Yeah. And you believe, Tate, don't sell yourself on Chubba Purdy. All right? Just stop it. I don't want to hear nothing about Tate. You saw Tate Rodemaker playing real football games that count.
With a crappy offensive line and no receivers, right?
Do you ever want to see Tate Rodemaker play in a real football game again?
I don't know because he had no offensive line and no receivers.
Play in a real football game again?
No offensive line and no receivers. So I think that's unfair.
That is play in a football
no. I'd rather it be Jordan Travis or AJ Duffy because they have a higher ceiling.
That's all I wanted you to say. Don't give me. Don't give me. Do you ever want to? No, you don't. So you look at every time you see a positive Tate Rodemaker update in spring practice, you roll your eyes. I know you do.
Yes.
Because I do it. I'm like, okay, whatever.
I just like whatever comes out of your mouth after you say, you know what's wrong with you FSU people? It's always my favorite part of the interview. I'm like, here we go. Here we go. All right, Corey. Tell everybody you can get your comment, my friend.
Oh, of course, they're going to harass me on Twitter all day at Corey Long, COREYLONG. My stories are up on NHL.com. I'm also part of WalterFootball.com. I love those guys, Walter Cherepinski, Charlie Campbell. What's up? Drew got all kinds of mock drafts coming. We got mock drafts like twice a day. I'm still trying to. I'm tired of all these trades, man. I got trades every day.
Yeah, sucks. I get it.
Huh?
I get it. Sucks.
It's just impossible to do one.
I know.
So
that's why I don't do them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk next. Let's talk some draft next week. Then let's get you on.
Absolutely. Let's talk some draft. I'm ready for it.
All right, partner. Great stuff,
right, buddy.
The great Corey Long.
Take care.
Always love him. You know what's wrong with you, Florida State people? It's like, oh God, here it comes. And he's 99% of the time he's right. He's right. If Tate Rodemaker's playing, then there's something wrong. It's probably not the fact that he blossomed into the second coming of Jameis Winston. So yeah, and I can say that because he won a national championship. All right, little quick update on what's going on at the Masters. Tiger's going to tee at 141. By the way, Joaquin Neiman, who played with Tiger yesterday, if I had to pick somebody right now, I picked Brooks Koepka, who completely shit the bed yesterday.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, he did.
Justin Thomas was a trendy pick, and he's out of it.
+4
when you shoot
yesterday.
When you shoot the same score as Bernard Langer, you got issues.
Think about that.
Think about that. How does that work?
First of all, it's Bernard Langer. The fact that he can shoot what did he shoot? 76.
He's 4 over.
Yeah, so 76 out there at the age of, what is he, 104? I mean,
enough.
dude, but he's still in great shape. He's like Gary Player. He does like 2 gazillion sit-ups a day. He does a back routine that literally takes him an hour every morning. It's all core work. These guys are maniacal about what they do with their bodies to stay in shape. And this is what you have to do for him to go out there and shoot that on a course that's 7,600 yards long.
Yeah.
And I think literally he might be in his 70s or late 60s. I actually saw one of the Green Jackets he won was one of the years I had a press pass. And And also, I had the chance to speak with him later on in his career at a senior event in Atlanta. Did an interview with him, and he told me about his routine. And he's just, you want to talk about a guy that's absolutely devoted to his craft, and he still plays at such a high level.
Mad respect, but if I'm Justin Thomas or any of those guys,
that ain't what you want to see.
I don't want to be next to him in the
bigger
leaderboard.
point, right?
Dustin Johnson, he looks like he's off and running right now. 6 through, he's 4 under. But if you look at those crop of names at the top, I mean, Scotty Scheffler might be where my money's going right now. I feel like he's already won, 3 times this year?
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, at some point this is going to stop, right? Because there's not really many guys anymore that can dominate like that. But he was impressive yesterday.
And, the number 1 player in the world right now, and he's winning everything. Gary Koch picked him last week as one of his favorites. But I love Joaquin Niemann too.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he literally it was easy for him to shoot 3 under. It probably should have been 6
and playing with Tiger as well.
Yeah.
Because Louis Oosthuizen is he's finished in the top 5 in the last 3 majors he's been in. He's notoriously for getting close.
Yeah.
And he's had a contention already.
And Sanjay M, he's a 5 under par, bogeyed the first hole today, slept with the lead. You know what? It's hard to. He's so consistent. He just doesn't hit bad shots. And if you keep it in play and you hit greens this week, you're going to be right in contention. And he's putting well. Short game looked good yesterday, so he's a factor. There's no doubt about it. But the thing that's going to be interesting, and I hadn't seen the weather forecast, but I did hear one of the analysts say that the wind laid down yesterday afternoon, and they're expecting it to happen again today. And if that happens, because right now it's blowing.
Right now they said it's 18 to 21, 11 to 3, and then it's going to be up to 31.
Oh, it's going up this afternoon.
Up. So and so for you Tiger watchers out there, that's going to be. But I mean, he wants to win. But how much does he want to win? I don't know. It's going to force you to have to play really, really smart golf. Obviously, there's nobody smarter than him. I mean, he didn't take many chances yesterday, I thought, until the end of his round when he kind of had to. So he likes the way it plays to him. But for somebody like him who's at the top of the leaderboard, we're going to find out how good he is today.
Mm-hmm.
And if he could still hit, because if you hit bad shots today, you might be in the bogey to double bogey territory.
Well, he's even through 8. So I think
he's
that's
already
a good
passing
score.
the test.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
he's even through 8. DJ's 1 under par through 6 holes today. Birdied number 4. Did not birdie number 2. And he had about a 15-footer for birdie on number 2, the par 5 down the hill, which is, you make par there for him. That's a drop shot.
Yeah. And Cam Smith, is he out there already? Or?
No, he'll be going out late too.
I was about to say, I'm a little worried about him today. He got off.
He's at 30.
He was out front yesterday, and the way he ended on 18 yesterday, I wonder where his psyche is coming into today, because he could have been 6 under and in the lead by 2 strokes coming into today.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this leaderboard. Danny Willett's at 3 under par, who came out of nowhere in 2015, 2016, and won the Masters. I just, he just doesn't have the consistency of his game, but you never know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens this afternoon, see who gets in position. All right, it's opening day for the Rays as well. Of course, the Lightning tonight taking on the Boston Bruins. Nice little double dip here today.
Hey, Monday we're going to have our first Rays recaps of the.
That's right.
I'm excited. The whole series to go over.
So I may be going to the Trop on Sunday. We shall see. Our thanks to Corey Long, who joined us today. Arestes Estrada and Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. If you missed anything, go back and check it out on our app, FanStream Sports. Download the app. You can listen to the show any day, at any time. It'll just recycle for you. So just tap that app. Also on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube and Apple and Spotify, and also on our website, FanStreamSports.com. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go Bolts. Go Rays. See you Monday.